Hello and welcome to this episode of Not Just Ghost Stories. I'm your host Josh, joined by Jackie and Laura. We are a small team of experienced paranormal investigators, and here we discuss different locations that we've investigated, along with a little history and the paranormal evidence that we found. Today we're going to be resuming our conversation about my story, and it ends up turning into not just my story, but our story, because it ended up involving everybody in our group, including Donna and everybody else that we try to get some type of answers from. So at this point, we're at Paulding Jail, right? Yeah, and
Basically, the Indian at Paulding Jail gave us the story, gave us a base to work on. We did go back down to that basement, and we never saw that Indian again.
well, and not us, but you. No, because he
well,
never.
yeah,
We
he
never
gave
saw
me
him.
the story. I assumed they had the story, but they never saw him. They didn't hear him. I think, Laura, you got other things from him, but they had nothing to do with.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
And at one point, we hadn't really even talked about what he had showed you yet, because I think we decided to go through with the rest of the investigation
well,
because we
we-
had a few other people with us.
We did talk about it, but all I could say was it was bloody.
Yeah.
It was horrific. It was bloody.
But we wanted to go down and try to talk to him again because you're like, you didn't see anything that he showed me, and we're like, no, let's go try again. And he was gone at that point. He just never showed
I
back
believe
up.
he came there specifically for that, and it was specifically for Jackie.
And I should also say we call him a Mohawk Indian. He could have been Huron because from what little I know about him, sometimes their dress was the same.
Yeah. So at that point, after Paulding Jail, I guess it was probably a few days, we were all just kind of sitting down talking. And I think we had asked you, what did you see exactly? You know, what kind of stuff were we looking at? And you explained to us everything that you had seen, which kind of scared me. I will say I was scared. Laura, I don't know how you felt.
I was pretty uneasy. I mean, I've already, had guides telling me that, basically they say, he could kill you, and it's probably not the best place to be.
Yeah. And well, at that same time, Laura's family lineage has Indian in it also. So I'm thinking they were probably telling her, hey, especially where you're from, that was a
Yeah.
lot of Cherokee. They're like, you shouldn't be there. So, which kind of also made me feel like I was really, really that bad. Now, Jackie had explained to me what she had seen, but I wasn't 100% sure exactly what I was picturing in my head. Like, oh, okay, could this have really been me? Until we get to Beale Manor, which was, a couple episodes ago. And we had kind of gone into it then. There was a scry room. Jackie had wanted Laura to sit down and scry first.
Yep.
And you did. I don't remember everything that you saw, do you?
It wasn't anything in regards to this. It
Yeah.
was totally different.
So then it was my turn. Now, Jackie assumes that we had already kind of seen what I had looked like. I started doing the scrying, and what I saw was probably I'm trying to find the best word, because scary or grotesque or any of those words don't really fit. But it really made me see who was in my past, what was in my lineage, and it was nasty. It was
I think it wasn't
morbid.
evil so much as what this was a killing machine. It had one purpose in its concocted life, and that was to completely annihilate whomever it was set against.
Yeah. I mean, for me, think, Wolfman in nature. Now, when I say Wolfman, don't think back to the 19, was it 50s or 60s movie where you had the the guy that had the, glued on hair onto his face. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like a large, grotesque wolf that was standing up on hind legs. If you could think of that, elongated snout, blood dripping from everywhere. It is what I saw. Just, nothing but rage in its eyes. Like it just wanted to tear to pieces everything it saw. And then it seemed to me it was coming out of the mirror. And I think at that point,
It did come out the mirror.
yeah.
Laura and I were in the doorway peeking in, and I remember, Laura, you saw it too.
I went to stand behind him to see if I could see what he saw. And for me, it was more like a headdress. Like the fur on it was really thick and it was kind of like a silvery color. But the snout was like long, like half. If you imagine a person going from a person to a wolf, like he was in the middle of it, is what I saw.
Yeah. And it I guess because Laura you were going to walk behind me, is that what you're going to do?
I was going to look, and then when it was coming like out of the mirror, I've been told so many times in my head that Josh is not exactly safe for me. And I'm not going to lie. I literally grabbed a hold of Jackie to put her in front of me.
She did.
I know it's terrible, but that's how terrifying it is. This seemed like to me that this went on. This was like a 30-minute ordeal. It was not. This was seconds.
Seconds.
But I remember, I think I went running out of I jumped out of the chair and took off.
You jumped out of the chair.
You knocked the chair over.
Yeah. And then you exited.
And you did this growly thing, didn't he? It was like,
and you left your wife to face it.
I mean, I don't know exactly what I was. I was terrified. I was upset, I think, angry. There was a whole bunch of emotions during this point that I had never really known anything. And I think, Jackie, that's when you realized, oh crap, they had never actually seen what it actually was.
Yeah.
And I remember you just apologizing, like we should have never done that. And we were okay with it, after I think I ended up going out of the house and just kind of bringing myself down.
I think I took you, I told you both, and I got Laura. Laura was like, I can't walk. I said, no, we're going downstairs. And I got him sat down and I gave him hematite, anything to ground him.
Yeah.
And I
my
gave
body
him a
was
drink.
shaking. I was even out of the situation. I was still terrified about it. You know how people say that something tragic happens and they freeze? Like they just have no control. They know they need to do something, but they just can't do it. That was this. So it did scare us all to death, which made us realize that we really had to do something proactive about it.
Yeah. The question was, what could we do? So, because we weren't exactly sure how this ended up happening until we figured out why the Mohawk showed specifically Jackie.
Well, and yeah, again, this part of it, well, none of it can we prove, but this part of it we can't prove. You just have to take my word for it. I'm the one who had the past life experience, and I'm the one who this feels like this is right. And you often wonder why you run into certain people in your life and you feel comfortable with them right away. It's probably because you have some sort of shared past life.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully you have a better shared past life than obviously Josh and I had.
I think we've walked journeys that maybe not side by side, but we've crossed paths many times before.
Yeah, but like I say, and what Josh is trying to say is, I firmly believe I'm the one, or my ancestor is the one who put the curse on Josh. Now, I like to think that he killed somebody in that battle that was very dear to me, like maybe my favorite dog or something. But if you think about it, the curse I put on his entire family probably was a little
That
harsher.
was a little too far.
Are you messing with me? Really?
Well, and I mean, how did you? I think it was a lot of searching on your
A
behalf,
lot of
right?
searching, a lot of the crystal ball, just meditating out there, putting it out there, looking for answers, and having the crystal ball is like a focus point. And having that focus point that kind of allows you to get rid of the chafe and get down to the
Well, and
real part.
I firmly believe now that the reason why the three of us are together and we're going through the journeys that we've gone through is because of a lot of this. You know, Jackie, I didn't know you from anything until I had started working with you. And then we found that we had common interests. And then from there, everything went in. Laura, it was kind of the same way. I had ended up meeting you and we fell in love, and like it was kind of like one of those weird love
Very
at first
quickly.
sights type of thing. You don't get that a whole lot in your life. And then all of a sudden it's the three of us doing what we love, which is going out and doing paranormal investigations, ghost hunting, whatever you want to call it, and just having a fun time.
What we love and also what we were led to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it led to, because trust me, I was terrified of the dark. Ghost hunting was never on my radar. Never. No, I didn't even watch scary movies, even the fake ones.
Yeah. So, I mean, it led Laura to actually figure out that not even just you, but was it great grandmother or your grandmother?
I mean, I
Actually
never
had
had opened to
abilities.
the psychic things, but I did know that, it had been a thing in my past lineage on my mother's side. My great grandmother was a full blooded Cherokee. And I am a direct descendant of Princess Cornblossom. So the whole massacre thing definitely brings up, because she hid children under not the natural arch, but a different arch in the area down there, and they were massacred, and it was by other Indians.
Yeah. So, that type of relation, I think, was one of the reasons why. But the relationship with Jackie and I, this is probably the main part of that. As to, okay, finally you guys are figuring yourselves out. Now, what are we going to do about it? And I think over a lot of, with Crystal Ball talking to Donna about it.
Yeah, she what we decided to do was I said, let's do a healing ceremony.
Yeah.
And it was funny because Donna was against that. She didn't think that would work. And I never go against Donna because she's pretty phenomenal. If you ever want a reading, you go to her. But I just felt like this had to be done and this will work.
Yeah. And so we finally decided on a day, time, how, where, what, who, all of that, all of the questions.
I will put in that on Donna's behalf as well. I wasn't being told don't do it, but I was very nervous about doing it. Like, I was being told to, like, stay on your toes, like, be aware.
I mean, the biggest question is was the healing ceremony going to work, or was it going to make it worse? And I could probably get that, because I was nervous about it, but at the same time in my head, I knew what kind of monster it was. And
I just decided that I trusted Jackie.
and I knew that this monster was also with Lucas, and that was not something that I wanted for him anymore. I didn't want it for me. My dad, which, my dad died young. He was in a car wreck, but my dad had a lot of problems. My dad did a lot of not good things, in his life. But it started to make more and more sense to me. So
another part, when you talk about your dad doing things, I don't know how many times I heard your mother say, it is like seeing John all over again, which is why she always so pushed for Josh to get help for those things.
mhm.
Going back to the, the mental anguish and the anger. So, it is weird that it really is there. You know, I never met Josh's dad. That's how young he died. So I only know what she told, but
Yeah.
she described it as the same.
So we decide to do this healing ceremony.
Now, let me interject in here because it sounds like Josh and Laura are making it sound like we were going to fix this and get rid of the curse. I'm not Wiccan. I'm not pagan. I'm not anything. I don't do spells. So even in that past life, I must have been an ass kicker spell giver, but I'm not in this life. All I wanted to do, all I could think to do, is to do a healing ceremony to heal all these people and all these souls that had gone before us that had been adversely affected by this curse. We weren't out to fix it, to get rid of it. We were just out to bring some peace to all those. And I included in that the souls that had passed on and things like that. That was the main focus of this healing thing. And I knew if I kept it to that for some reason, and as we found in the paranormal, intent will get you far. I knew I could do that.
Yeah. Well,
and we all each represent a part of that pyramid. You know, Jackie was the one that cursed Josh. Josh was the one that killed my people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is a triangle. We're not the originals that did it. We're, you know, just attached to them in some way. So it was, in my eyes, I looked at it as the three of us were forgiving one another.
Yeah. Well, and at the same time, I knew it wasn't going to be a fix, but I knew it was going to be a control. And what I mean by that is I was actually, whatever this was, we were then going to be able to have some type of control over top of this. It was going to be a healing. It was going to be, okay, hopefully this will make, you know, my life a little different, even though, am I doing it consciously? Maybe. Am I doing it subconsciously? It's possible. And who knows, you know, overall. There's no real scientific backing to figure out why somebody does what they do or what happens to somebody when it does. But this one, to me, it felt like it was going to be, okay, let's get control of this situation, is the way I felt. And this was going to be that control.
It's possible to heal and not be able to explain how you healed. There's even medications out there that we know work for things, but we don't know why.
Yeah.
We don't know why that medicine does that, but it does. So why would that not go to energy as well?
Yeah.
We don't know why, but it can.
Also in life, you need to take responsibility for your own actions. And I guess this was kind of our way, kind of my way of taking responsibility for not personally my own actions, but this is in my lineaging that I owing up to it and kind of realizing that maybe it was the wrong thing to do.
We've always been on this track, I think, before any of us even knew one another. I mean, I've always felt that you can't blame the person in front of you for the person behind that person.
Yeah. But what we ended up is what we knew overall on this is that we all had to have our heads in the game here, and also the understanding of why this exactly happened. Now, Jackie, you said you felt that the Indians were mad at you and you did this as a curse because you used, well, your ancestor, not you, I should say, used, I guess, witch properties instead of Indian properties to do this?
That's the impression I got. And I did in my past life regression. I was laying out on a table being tortured by an Indian tribe. I assumed my own tribe, and it was because I did magic that I should not have done.
Yeah. For me, you know, kind of going through these type of meditations and stuff that I ended up doing, I feel the reason why my lineage was chosen was because we were not, we were white people, but we were not good to the Indians, and they wanted somebody to basically be that involuntary volunteer. Then they said, yeah, this is going to be the person to do it for us because he's already a nasty person, or whoever it is already a nasty person. Let's make him more nasty. And that's what I felt ended up coming out of that.
That makes sense, because why send one of your own people to whatever hell you believe in when you have a volunteer?
Right. Nobody would do that. I mean, I definitely would hate to ever be put in that position, but I would totally pick a stranger over somebody that I cared about.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things that I felt that in that lineage, for some reason, I'd done something bad or I'd take something away from them, uh, and that was a retaliation by them against my lineage, to say, okay, you know what? Here's what we're going to do, and you're going to help us, but just not know it, type of thing. So you're going to help us win this war that we're in, but we're going to turn you into this monster that you're going to be. And it's kind of weird to think about that overall, but that's the way I feel about this. So we end up getting down to the point of this ceremony, and the only thing I can remember Jackie saying is like, look, this is power, and this is something that we have
Yeah,
to do.
I would say totally let Jackie explain the actual
Yeah.
process. I mean, she wrote it. We just played the parts.
Well, actually, it started that morning. You guys didn't, I don't know if you felt it or not. I woke up that morning under attack, and I don't have spirits in my house. And I've never been attacked in this house, but I was under a very subtle attack. Can't tell you exactly what, but it's just all of a sudden I'm like, this isn't going to work. Why am I doing this? This is stupid, and stuff like that, having doubts and everything. And it wasn't until I realized these aren't my thoughts that I text everybody and said, disappear. And by that, I meant there is the crystal fire agate, which kind of hides you
Mhm.
from the psychic world. And I told everybody, I said, grab some fire agate, do not take it off until the ceremony starts.
Well, for me, I remember that morning it was, I don't get a whole lot of headaches, a whole lot of, but this one was bad. It was a horrible headache. I was having it, came out of nowhere. Don't usually get them like that a whole lot. And then after Jackie did that, said you guys need to, we all need to disappear, and we ended up doing that. It just kind of disappeared. It was gone. I mean, the headache was gone. Laura, I don't know how you felt that morning.
I was still nervous. I'm not really even sure, like reflecting now, like what I was nervous about. I don't know if I was nervous that something could go wrong, or if I even think in a way I was nervous that even if it did work, like everything would change. You don't know when change is going to happen, where you're going to fall at the end of it. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't until we actually got down just before the ceremony. I knew Laura had to be there, but I couldn't tell her what her role was. And I don't think I told you guys this because you wouldn't have gone through the ceremony. But the one thing I found out, and I think this is one of the reasons why the Indians, my tribe, did not punish me, is the saying, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. With me, that is so damn true.
Yeah.
Just in my crystal ball, I got a taste of the power, and it was hard getting out of it.
She literally gets like giddy.
And mean. So as we were down there preparing the ground, the ceremony was on my land. I have a place where when my dogs pass, that's where I put them. I felt comfortable down there. I knew they would help. They were invited to the ceremony, so the ground's kind of sacred, and it just felt right. We put crystals around, quartz crystals to draw in good energy, and we made a circle. So hopefully whatever came out of Josh could not get out of the circle.
Yeah.
And Laura was told her to stay out of the circle. She'd be fine. And it wasn't until I sat down I realized what her job was. And this is why she's nervous. I knew I could do the ceremony. I knew I could pull it off. I knew it'd be fine. But I didn't know what I'd do with the power. I didn't know if I could resist that much power that was going to be coming in this ceremony. And it was Laura's job to pull me back if I couldn't resist it. So, yeah, you had a bad job. I would have been nervous too.
Well, in my mind too, like when the ceremony was going on, it felt more like I was there to like make sure it stayed in that you're in Josh's circle, and then I was outside of you all. But to me, it looked like the image I got was be prepared for like fire, and you have like one of those big blankets that you can just squish it with. So the symbolism for me was that if Jackie totally lost her marbles, was to rip the energy out of her.
Yeah. And for me, it was, okay, just concentrate on control, bring it down, try to like push it at the same time to come out where it needs to go and not within me, or anybody else that was going to be in my family lineage.
And to not move. We had the hardest
that
part.
was the hardest part
Because at some point we weren't touching. We had our palms facing each other for the transfer of the healing. And at some point I told him, I said, don't move, because moving would have been bad. I grabbed a hold of him, and I think I might have left nail marks.
Yeah, I was about to say,
wrist.
I had nail marks on my wrist at that point. And I didn't move. I'm a pretty strong guy, so I was actually able to kind of keep my hands up and make sure that everything's good that way.
And I'm still out there like, this shit's about to blow up.
and Laura was, very nervous, but I think by the end of it, by the time we felt the healing was done, things were more in control, and better. I felt a whole lot better about it. I was extremely tired, honestly, by the end of it, and we ended up leaving. I went home, I rested the next day. I felt like it was new light, like the world looked different to me. And
didn't Lucas come to you and say the same thing?
Yeah. Oh, it was about a few days later afterwards.
Well, his too was that he has terrible insomnia.
Mm-hmm. And he slept.
Also has nightmares. And he said that he wasn't having any of those issues.
Yeah. Which was, to me, I was like, okay, maybe we got this. Maybe we do. And we've been to places since then. I've never had anything else happen to me. I carry the protection, when I'm going to those places, but I don't keep them on me just because I want to see, hey, bring it on. I want to see what's going to happen.
I mean, but we always have to be conscious of it because, like Jackie was saying, like, you can't fix it. Like, you can't undo what's done.
And who knows? I mean, in the next year or two, we might have to try to do this healing ceremony again and try to bring it back just to make sure that everything's where it needs to be. But
have to stay vigilant on, or is anger's rising? Is there, are those things coming back so far? Things have been great.
Well, and even Lucas's anger has been way more under control, and it's been really, really, nice. And overall, I think things have.
He smiles a lot more.
He does, which is great, overall. But the biggest reason why we're telling you guys this is because, one, I wanted to get this story out, kind of make some more things clear about a lot of these other episodes that we've done, because for me, this was a large part of my life, and what paranormal can be. The biggest thing about it is there's always sometimes explanations, and if you don't start to delve into yourself and who you are and what you are, then you'll never know exactly what's going on. My dad died when I was 21. I'm 44 now. So, but my dad died when I was 21. Would have never known what the heck was going on with him and why he was so confused in his head. And who knows where I would have been in my future, especially if I was following along in that. My dad died because he was driving drunk. That was his stupidity of the reason why he died. And there was a lot of stupidity for years from the time that I was, 12, 13 years old, all the way up to the time that he passed away. The stupidity that he had. And the only thing I can think of is if he had tried to go on the same type of track that I went on in this time in life, would he have been better off because he would have finally started to figure things out?
I don't know.
So we'd like to bring awareness to things. We brought you awareness in other ones. We've done question and answers, and we'll have another question and answer here soon because we do get a lot of questions on things. I just wish people would actually send it to me through Facebook you know, email or whatever, we go from there, because we would love to hear questions and what you guys, ask. It's literally not just ghoststories@gmail.com, where you can send it to us. So, but we get a lot of questions, so we will get those. But this, I'm hoping that we get questions on this, because I would be happy to answer anything that somebody wants to ask. Like, how did you know? Well, I didn't. you know. How did Jackie know that you were the one that caused? It took a lot of soul searching. Am I right about that?
Yeah. And I could still be wrong, but we always have that moment in our life when something feels right, and this whole story feels right. Not a good story, but it feels like we
Oh yeah, I
we
mean,
found the truth.
I don't like knowing that in my family lineage that I was the one to go through and mangle and destroy people. I don't like that one bit. However, it was a part of my past, and I 100% believe that it was a part of my past.
Just don't be killing people's favorite dog.
No, I would never do that again.
Oh, I hope not. 'Cause that's it. You kill a dog on purpose, I'm going to kill you.
Also, another thing, as Josh said, to bring awareness to, and we've brought awareness on several things. Being in the paranormal life, we found, like when my 7-year-old granddaughter asked me about actually a crawler that had attacked her. I didn't shut her down. I didn't do anything. I let her talk, because I realized that there's more out there than what we know. So for me to just look at her or to look at Josh and go, "Oh, you're nuts. That could never happen. No such thing as past lives. No such thing as curses." We're doing ourselves a disservice.
Yeah. It's always good to open your mind. I mean, even Laura, we're going to kind of go to your story just for a second here.
Okay.
When I met you, you didn't believe in anything about ghost stories. I used to watch the ghost shows, and you're like, and you kind of got interested in them.
Yeah. After I wasn't, jumping every time something happened.
But I also knew that she was scared of the dark, so we'd watch them in the light.
Yeah.
Even though I wanted to watch them with the lights off because it was easier to see things on the screen.
Hell no. I'm lights on too. And sometimes behind my hands, because you're safe. They can't see you behind your hands.
But then you go on to this journey, and I end up meeting Jackie, and my very first one was Waverly Hills, and you sent me on that for my birthday. And then as we went along, me and Jackie are going to these different places, and finally you jump in and say, "You know what? I think I would like to try to go."
Yep.
Now,
So we took her to Hinsdale.
well, I think
I did a couple before we got there.
We had
Two.
done
Gaines Tavern.
Gaines Tavern. Well, actually,
we've done our unnamed school.
With our
we've
unnamed
done
school.
Gaines Tavern.
And then it was Whispers.
Yeah, we've done
Oh, yeah.
Whispers.
And then, so from that point, I think after Whispers, her falling in that portal really grabbed a hold of her, because now she's interested in what the heck is really going on.
Something happened that I can't explain.
So then at that point, that's when we started to realize that you actually have some kind of psychic ability in order to be able to see and hear things.
Don't think you're crazy if you see or hear those things. And don't be afraid to ask your family, because it turns out they might know. They just don't talk about it.
Yeah. So what we're saying is we're bringing awareness to these things. Is don't be scared. Don't be afraid to open your mind and reach out
And talk to people.
and talk to people about this. Because if I had just kind of kept this closed up, if I had not have tried to wander into the middle of a field in Kentucky at nighttime where I could have gotten shot, we would have never known. And to me, that's huge, because this could have kept going on for, till the day I died. Who knows? And then Lucas would have to deal with it, and who knows what would have happened out of his, lifetime, and then so on and so forth as we go along.
I'm just wondering, what is it leading up to? Everything happens for a reason. I don't think we just got here for things to end.
True. So, any last words?
Nope, like you say, don't be afraid to talk to people unless they have a white coat and a clipboard, then make up shit, okay? But, yeah, I don't know how, I'm sure Josh, it took a lot for Josh but for me to sit here and say this stuff, because it sounds crazy and I cannot validate it, except I can only tell you this is what I firmly believe.
Yeah.
is the true story.
You know, at this point, most people that I meet think that I'm crazy anyway. So you know what? I'm just going to add on to it. I can't validate anything either. I know my feelings. I know what I felt. I know what I saw in the mirror. That's as far as I can go with it. But I want to tell the story because I want to bring awareness to anybody else that has issues. Now, we're not going to say, you know, hey, you were cursed as the family lineage. No, it might be other things that you were having issues with, but don't be afraid to ask, talk, understand what exactly is going on.
I'm who I am because I finally went on a ghost hunt. A lot of my own things have changed through this journey. I guess just the way I saw things. I've discovered that things that I thought everybody could do, not everybody can do. It just, nobody in my family ever was like, yeah, most people can't do that.
All right. So on that note, we're going to go on and end the show. Please, again, send us any questions that you have. Email.
This is a very big subject, and I'm sure there's a million things we left out. So we're hoping that you'll ask some questions so that we find a way to throw those things in there once we realize we left them out.
Yeah. Not Just Ghost Stories at gmail.com. The Facebook at Not Just Ghost Stories. Anything Not Just Ghost Stories, we have we have an email or a Facebook on, okay?
Yeah, or maybe this could be a challenge. Send us something that we haven't encountered yet.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, and at that point, we'll bring you on the podcast too, because we're always happy to talk about things, and that we actually probably want to, you know,
You don't
that one
have
out
to be
too.
on the podcast. If you just want somebody to talk to, it doesn't have to be public knowledge at all.
Yep. So we will always help. So with that, this has been Not Just Ghost Stories. We have been your hosts, Josh.
Laura.
And Jackie.
And until next time, you can find information and contact us on our website at notjustghoststories.com and see evidence that we've discussed on Facebook at Not Just Ghost Stories.